I welcome Dr. D.K.Hari and Dr. HemaHari to provide their insights and b- bless us with the knowledge of Indic civilization on Meru Sumeru architecture worldwide. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swagatika Mishra, for inviting us to be part of this IKS program. Um, Very kind of you. And as mentioned by you, thank you so much for a very nice introduction to detailed one. We will get straight to the subject. We'll start sharing our slides and get straight to the subject. So we'll get on to the subject of Meru. It's a very interesting subject. I'll start the subject with a particular story of the idea of Meru world over. If you look at the idea of Meru, Sumeru, pyramids, the word Su for Sumeru is a prefix of meaning good. Su always Swagatam, Su Swagatam. Like that, the Su prefix means good, nicer. Now, this idea of Meru is of two levels. One is the man made ones, which are the pyramids, and which you call Meru, Sumeru too, and the natural ones, the natural mountains, which are by nature, they are also Sumeru. So let's look at some of this as we go along. I also slowly take you through some of the stories that we have on the subject. See, we have these Merus, man-made Merus, in so many places in the world. For the next half an hour or 40 minutes, we'll really be amazed to see why and how there are so many Merus all over the world. And now in the English language, you get to call them as pyramids. Actually, what led this to us was, 20 years back, there was a BBC documentary which said that there are pyramids in about 7 different places in the world. And they said we find pyramids in 7 different places in the world, but we don't know why. Because they didn't connect it. We thought we can do surely better than that. And we started collating information. And as you can see here, we have got information not only on 7 that was mentioned by the BBC documentary then 20 years back, but even 45 different places. And we'll show you a connection, what they did not say. There may be a connection, may not be a connection. They left it open. Whereas we will see over the next 90 minutes as to what all is connected, how they are connected. That's the beauty of what our presentation here, specifically on the subject of IKS and architecture. How they're all architecturally connected, how they're all civilizationally connected, which is what we'll see. First, we'll take pyramids, meaning Egypt, obviously. We'll take the first one. Look at the term. The term pyramid is actually a Greek term that has been in use only for the last few hundred years. When we went to Egypt about 25 years ago, and we met the Egyptologists, the scholars of Egypt, we asked them this a question. Okay, obviously pyramid is a Greek term. It comes from the word pyre, P-Y-R-E, pyre, and mid for middle, M-I-D, mid.
Fire.
Pyre means fire. That's why when you light a fire, it's called pyre, P-Y-R-E, pyre. And middle is obviously mid. Mid is the meaning. So pyre, mid, meaning there is fire in the middle. That's what the Greek term indicates. But we asked them, since this is Egyptian, and this goes back to, these pyramids go back to about 3,500, 4,000, 4,500 years or even 5,000 years. What is the original term, the pharaonic term that the pharaohs used? What you call in English as the pharaonic term for the word pyramid? Because leave aside the Greek term. What is your pharaonic Egyptian old term? They surprisingly told us that it is Mru. M-R, Mr, was the term for it. Now, the term Mr is so phonetically similar to our Indian term, Sanskrit term, Meru.
Phonetically as well as structurally.
Yeah, the product structure and phonetic similar to Meru. Meru here meaning mountain. Each of this is a mountain. That's what you get to see. Each of these is a mountain, so many of them all over the land. So we got the idea, okay, the original term is Meru, because the point is, in the pharaonic Egyptian language, while you have, in the English language, you have vowels and consonants. When they use consonants, vowels are implied in many places in the pharaonic Egyptian language. So they leave out sometimes. So obviously, in this particular case of Meru, they just say Mr, because the between the ma and ra is implied for them there in their language, not now 4,000 years ago. So that's how you get the term Mru. And look at this, an old painting of the Pyramid of Giza, as you now call it, how it would have looked 4,000 years ago. Look at how majestic and beautiful it is with all the people trading around it. This is the top view of the pyramid. This is the top view of the pyramid as to how people see it from the top, which is a very rare view. So what is there, how the structure has been, all of you being students of architecture, you'll appreciate the structure, how it is beautifully, isn't it? So you'll see that structure there. That's a rare view. Now, when you come down from Egypt, upstream of the Nile River, what you'll see is you'll come to this country called Sudan. And Sudan had a substantial French colony then, French occupation of those days, 100 years ago. Look at what they called it in Sudan. While look at this in Egypt, it's called Mr, downstream of the Nile River. And in English, you call the river Nile River. What is this Nile River called in the Egyptian pharaonic language? It's called Nile, meaning blue. What do you call in all the Indian languages the color blue? Nile. What did the pharaohs call, Egyptian pharaohs, Ramses call it? Nile. The Englishman came and called it Nile. Not only did he call it Nile, then he had a confusion. So then he called it Blue Nile. Because we originally called it Nile, meaning blue. So the blue river, that's all. Look at the beauty of it. So now coming back to the idea of Meru, in the franchise, that is in the pharaonic name, it's Mru, M-R-U. In the French form, it is what? Meru, M-E-R-O-E, Meru. Look at the similarity in different parts of Africa. One upstream, one downstream of the Nile River and one upstream of the Nile River, where it is called Meru. The French way of calling it, the same pyramid. Look at the structure, the shape, the angle of the pyramids. Look at this. These are of the Kushite periods, these pyramids, called it Meru, with the Kushite. This lived about 2,500 years ago. Look at this. Look how many Meru are here. All over. That's what you get in that place. Look at the size of the Meru pyramids there. Just want to show you, this is in Jebel Barak, the particular pyramid in Sudan, Africa. Having seen this, do you know where after Africa, after Egypt, do you know where the most number of pyramids are in the world? Instantly, while you know the Egyptian pyramid, this is not, all of us think this is the biggest pyramid of the world. This is not the biggest pyramid of the world. We look at this some more. So, the biggest pyramid of the world, since I mentioned it, is here in Bosnia, Eastern Europe. This is 20 miles from Sarajevo, where the Winter Olympics was held a couple of decades ago. They originally thought this was a hill, but it had a very neat gradient of 45 degrees. So they all thought it was a big natural hill with such a wonderful, precise gradient. And it was on a 650-meter mount, this particular hill, which seemed strange, but people didn't question it. And what happened was, because I mentioned this is in Bosnia, you all know 20 years back, there was a major war in Bosnia. Major war. So in the war in Bosnia, when people were shelling firearms onto this, cannonballs onto this, the cannonballs ricocheted back from this hill. It did not go and fall into the hill. It bounced off the hill, which was actually surprising and amazing for these people. That they said the cannon. So they thought there must be something there that's making the cannonballs bounce back. That's when, after the war, they decided to do research on this. And then they found that this is the person who actually did the research, an archaeologist, and he found a pyramid 1/3 taller than the Great Pyramid of Giza, a third bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's obviously built on blocks. It's a man-made structure. And then these are all the first time he tried to uncover this pyramid. Look at the size of this pyramid. The largest pyramid of the world is there. There's a whole town below this. Unfortunately, they did not even know it was a pyramid. This is one of the 4 large structures. Then they call it, in the local language, it was called the Pyramid of the Sun. Not pyramid, Meru, obviously. That was a large pyramid. Now coming into, do you know where the maximum pyramids of the world are? They are in Turkey. You'll be surprised. Look at the number of tombs, sarcophagi, that's there in Turkey. All over Turkey, you find the small pyramids. All over. All Meru shaped. And look at this. This is Nemrut Dag, one of the highest pyramids of the world. What you find in Egypt is at the ground level. This is on top of a mountain. This man-made pyramid, while mountains themselves are pyramids naturally, which we'll see in the next half an hour. This Nimrud Dag in eastern Turkey is a man-made pyramid on top of a mountain. Look at this, the huge statues there, which have all been obviously broken down now. And there's a pyramid behind these statues. These are all the great kings of Turkey of those days. And there's a pyramid. Antiochus, as Dr. Hema correctly says. So that's the pyramid. So that's what you have there. So when you then similarly you come down here across the sea, you come to Mexico. Look at the size of the pyramids, the pyramid of the moon. Last time we were all supposed to have seen the blue moon, the beautiful moon. India has already landed on the moon. But look at this pyramid is dedicated to the moon in Mexico some 2,500 years ago. These are all marvels of architecture, marvels of civil engineering by far.
So here there is fundamentally a difference we have to see. In Egypt, while we see that those pyramids, the Merus there, were used as tombs, these Central American, ancient American pyramids are fundamentally temples. They are places of worship. They are not tombs. The Turkey ones are also tombs. So there are some which are tombs, some which are temples itself.
Look at this. This is close to Machu Picchu, one of the wonders of the world. Look at the pyramid, the way you climb up to the step pyramids. These are pictures taken on site to show you. This is in Chichen Itza, Mexico. Look at the pyramid there. So you got pyramids all over. Then let's come to okay, you want me to do Ecuador? Okay, I'll do Ecuador. Look at this in Ecuador. The pyramid design is what you see in Ecuador. See, look at with cats. They have a very clear structured pyramid design in their architecture. This is ancient Ecuador, which you think before the Spaniards came and killed the locals. But before that period. Then you go to Peru, down South America. There you go to the Sachin Alto Valley. Again, the huge pyramid. 60 million stones were used to build this pyramid 3,500 years ago. Look at the size of the pyramid. And you get to the Caral Supe Valley. That's what you see. Another huge pyramid. So a lot of archaeologists have gone around. This all 2700 BC means almost 4,800 years ago. These were built. Look at the size of the pyramid there. Massive ones, not at all small, man-made pyramids. So obviously there's a reason they're making these wonderfully huge pyramids. Look at this. And
they're all temples.
All of them are temples. Look at the size of this. Look at the size of this pyramid there in Peru. Then when you come, see, the point was in Europe till 1500, they thought that the Europe was a flat land. The world in the west ended for them with the Canary Islands, and in the east it was all up to Ganjam. That's all they knew of the world. That's why they called their sea called the Mediterranean Sea. Middle Mediterranean Sea, in the middle of the terrain. That's what they called the sea. The small patch of sea, they called it Mediterranean, and they thought it was the biggest sea of the world. That was how they thought of them. They did not know much of these large seas, oceans then. So when they had that, for them, the end of the world was the Canary Islands, where you have the Tenerife Islands. Look at the so in Tenerife too, you have pyramids. This is the west coast of Africa. You have beautiful pyramids there. So if you come to see that, then let's go to England, because we're all speaking in the English language. Look at this. In Wiltshire, Silbury Hill, there's a 130 feet man-made pyramid. It's 41 meters. Okay, look at this. And they have, it's a 5-acre pyramid. Look at the size, the magnitude of the pyramid there. It could have taken, they guesstimate, not estimate, guesstimate, it could have taken them 18 million man hours to build this pyramid. And this is 3600 BC. That is what? We are in 2023. So that would have been about 5,700 years ago. Is what? So you think all humans are all now and Mesopotamia. Look at that. It changes your whole perspective of architecture. You're talking about architecture of 18 million man hours 5,600 years ago. Now you come to Ireland, which is an island of England. Look at the idea of pyramids there in the Waterford country. They call it pyramids now because it's a new block, but look at the old pyramids, all going back millennia. Look at this construction there. Look at the precision, so beautifully put together pyramids. Then let's come to the east. If you come to Cambodia, or shall we do Babylon first? If you don't mind, we'll do Babylon. Look at this. In Babylon, of course, this pyramid doesn't exist. You only have pictures of this pyramid. It is in the present day country of Iraq, those days country of Persia. This is called the Tower of Babel, this pyramid, and it was destroyed by Alexander. So supposedly the Alexander the Great, I don't know, his greatness was in destroying things, I guess, but that's what the history today calls. So this was the pyramid Tower of Babel that was there. This is mentioned in the Bible, mind you. That's why it's called Babel. And look at this. All of us talk about Abraham coming from a place called Ur. Okay, they call this place Ur. And there's a pyramid there. That's a proof in Babylonia. But what does the term Ur come from? The term Ur comes from our Indian term Pur, Puri, Ur, town. Ur means what? Puri means what? Town, isn't it? A place of habitation. That's what you call that term in India today. That's the term they used Ur. Even on South India, many places are called Ur. Or it ends with the word Ur, any place. See, so this is what? So this is where Abraham is from, Ur. That's where the pyramid is. The Great Pyramid of Babylonia. Look at that. Then from there, let's look at what else you want to see. Israel. They also have pyramids there. Look at the Supreme Court of Israel, which was built in the last 70 years. What is the centerpiece of Supreme Court of Israel? Is a pyramid. What you call Meru. That is a centerpiece. That's where justice is being dispensed in Israel. The Supreme Court is a pyramid. Look at that very clearly. Look at the continuity of architecture traditions across 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years. And there's a message to it. Now we saw Bosnia. Let's look at Greece here now. Look at the pyramids. Because we call the Greek civilization Hellenic civilization. We call the Greek architecture Hellenic architecture. Look at this. In Hellenicon, what is the base structures are all pyramids. That's what you have there. Now, if you go further up into Poland, look at these pyramids there. In the Holy Cross Church, there is on top of a pyramid there. This is a pagan time symbol of late 8th century in a place called Krakow, a famous place in Poland. You have pyramids. So you have this all over the world. Then let's go to Ukraine. Unfortunately, in war now. Here, pyramids are built 5,000 years ago, similar to the Great Pyramid in Luhansk. Unfortunately, it's the Black Sea. It's been all school children found it out during an archaeology camp. And they're trying to decipher. Unfortunately, now they're unable to, but probably after the war, they should be able to look at this. This is the massive remains, the archaeological site of a Lugansk pyramid. So the word Lugansk itself comes from the idea of sun god, the Irish Lug. So this is the pyramid for the sun. So huge pyramid that they have been able to excavate there, and they are able to find the base of it. So what does it do? It changes the whole conception of social structure of people, whether we were cattle breeders, whether we were farmers, or our ancestors of all these places, what you derisively call them as pagan cult. And all of us, all the Slavs, as they call it, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, all the Slavs, they were all worshippers of the sun, and they're all great builders. They are architects of the highest order. So you get to see. Now, having seen this, let's look at Russia now. Look at this. The pyramids in the Altai mountains of Russia. Numerous of them found, all structures over 2,000 years old, with various carvings, messages in them. In all this, we mentioned in our book, Indo-Russia, that you can check out. Of course, our other book also has it. Now, let's come down to Persia, closer to India. Look at this. Ziggurat, as they called it in the Farsi, because the word Persia itself is Anglican, English. The term in the local language is called the ziggurat. In Iraq, the way they call it. In Ashur, look at the ziggurats there. The Great Pyramid. So, of the Chaldees civilization, the sketch of it. So, the Chaldees, look at the Great Pyramids that are built as Dr. Hema mentioned to you some time back about how it was all used more for prayer. People going up the pyramid. Look at the size of the pyramid. Look at the architecture of this. Amazingly beautiful, isn't it? And look at this is the present status of it. This is what you're now getting, the present status drawing of it, how it had looked. Originally, look at the architecture, how it had looked 3,000 years ago, before it was all destroyed by Alexander the Great. And this is a painting of it. So the idea of, look at this now, the grand structure, look at the architecture of this pyramid, how this is the close-up of it now with the brick walls leading up to the ziggurat. Amazingly beautiful structures, isn't it? And look at how it travels. So we just shown you an artist sketch of how it travels. Look, different layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the different layers of the pyramid, how it travels. Look, those days. And they talk about Cyrus. Who is Cyrus? You had a great king called Darius. From him, you get Shershe. Shershe, unfortunately, in English, they call it Xerxes. In Greek, and in English, they call it Xerox. It's actually Shershe is the thing. And from Shershe comes Cyrus again. So it's all the great Persian kings, and look at their tombs in Persia. All the same idea of the Meru. Look at this. Look at this base structure, 125 meters. This is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And it is from here because this is a tomb of Mausolus. And it is from this you start getting the English word today, or the word mausoleum. Where do you get the English word mausoleum today? You start getting it from here. So it was built by the Queen of Persia for her husband. It was totally built in marble. One of the 7 wonders of the world. This was King Mausolus, who ruled Persia then. So look at the architecture of all these people then, the amazingness of it. Look at the beauty of this pyramid in architecture. Unfortunately, after a series of earthquakes, it was destroyed. This is what you have left of it. all the pieces which have been later salvaged. But who has kept it? Not here in Persia. It's been taken and kept in the British Museum. Most of it. Look at this. This idea based on the reconstruction for mausoleums, which comes from the word mausolus. The Grand Tomb in New York, which was built more than 100 years ago, they used followed the similar architecture there. See how architecture transcends time. Architecture transcends geography. But the idea of building mausoleum from the idea of mausolus continues, and you have the Grand Tomb in New York there, isn't it? So you got this all over. So you got this Persia, you've seen all this. Now let's look at Japan. This is a pyramid that's underwater. Actually, this is an island which is very close to Taiwan, because the Japanese archipelago islands continue all the way almost up to Taiwan. So off this island, you have this pyramid. See the structure. This is underwater. Look at the size of the steps to the pyramid. It's not a small thing. Here there's a scuba diver. There's a scuba diver here, and the top of the pyramid. You can see the size of each step of this pyramid. Look at the size. 600 feet wide, 90 feet tall is this on the ocean floor. This 40 feet below the surface. Actually, this was first sighted in 1995 of this island, and goes back to 8000 BCE. That means 8000 BCE plus the 2000 CE that we are in. That means goes back by 10,000 years before the ice caps melted and the oceans grew in height. So you're talking about pyramids are older than Egypt by 5,000 years. And these are the underwater Merus of Japan. So let's come to Thailand. What do you call it in Thailand? This is called Meru Mat. It is on this, they have an escalator. This is the Meru Mat, on which when a king of Thailand passes away, then they rest the body on this Meru. Look at the shape of the Meru and take him up this Meru Mat. For example, this was done for Rama the 8th. The present king is Rama 10. The earlier king who passed away about less than a decade ago was Rama 9. So this was for the earlier king Rama 8 in 1946. They used this. How they took it. They called it the Naga escalator by taking the pyramid. So this is the Meru chariot on which they laid to rest the king. So it's called Meru chariot. Look at the idea of Meru there. And this is Meru Sumeru, the temple of Meru. Sumeru, the idea there in Thailand. So you have this idea. Then let's come to Cambodia. One of the most wonderful structures of the world, pyramidical in shape, Nam Bakeng. This is in Angkor. We all hear of Angkor Wat, we all hear of Angkor Thom, but we hardly get to go see in Siam Reap, the same area. This is where it is. Look at the beautiful temple of Nam Bakang, and you come to Java. From Cambodia, look at that. You saw the Nam Bakang. Come here. Borobudur, the ancient, wonderful structure. Is this also not pyramidical? The grand structure of Borobudur. It's a wonderful place to visit. If any of you are visiting Borobudur, do it early in the morning because you can catch the sunrise from there. But you have to start climbing by about 4:30 a.m. to be here by about 5:30 a.m. to catch the first ray of the sun. It's a beautiful sight, which we did about 15 years ago. It's a beautiful sight. It's an amazingly beautiful structure to see. You have to spend a half a day or more. Just forget taking measurements, that all that we can do later, just to sort of take in the ethos of the structure. Look at this. This is photographed from inside, from the top tier. The number of stupas on top of the pyramid. Some of the most, look at this. So here you're getting to see two things here. This was built by this King Sailendra dynasty in the 9th century Indonesia. This is the Borobudur structure. Look at this structure. I'll talk about the structure a little later. But directly in line is this mountain. It's called Merapi. This is an active volcano. Even now, smokes, fume come out from this volcano on a regular basis. So this is an active volcano called Merapi. The beauty of this volcano is that it was one of these volcanoes that blasted some portions of this, destroyed some portions of this pyramid a couple of centuries ago. because of the ash that came out of this pyramid. But the point is what? This is a natural pyramid, functioning volcano, which is, what do they call it? Meru, Merapi, in the Indonesian language. What is the Indonesian language? It is called Bahasa. What do you call the Indian languages? Bhasha. What do you call the Indonesian languages? Bahasa. Only a an A is added, is inserted between the B and H. So it is called Bahasa language. So look at the similarity of the pronunciation of the language itself between the Indian subcontinent and southeastern portion of Asia. In Bahasa language, it is Merapi. So I want to show the alignment between a man-made pyramid and a natural pyramid. You know the beauty of it, how they thought of this. These are the Gunung Meru in different parts of Java. Having said that, Cambodia, we've seen this. We also seen China, is it? Look at this. The great emperor Xia of China, who was on the Silk, what do you call the famous Silk Road of the Han dynasty. Look at their pyramids. This is made of clay and dried straw. But look at the pyramid size, the Han dynasty kings. It is closed for viewing, but this one, because when communism came to China, these got closed, but we have some pictures, giving some aerial views of someone. Look at the aerial view of the pyramid here. So see, there's one pyramid here, one here, one here. So it got all over. And look at this pyramid now. This is the Great White Pyramid of the Tang dynasty of Empress Wu. Obviously, it was a natural structure which they used it as a white pyramid. So you have man-made and you have natural. This is a Great White Pyramid because it's so always white there, isn't it? Beautiful. So look at this of the Shang dynasty. How they built it, of the Shang dynasty altars. They built it like Meru-like. Circular, but on a circular base. This is 1600 BCE. It was a Shang dynasty that started the Silk Route to Europe. So very famous dynasty that ruled for nearly 600 years. So they have this. So then let's come down to what you would call as Micronesia, Polynesia. What do you call Micronesia? Look at this. This is all the islands of between Eastern Asia and Hawaii. Small population then, but look at their pyramids there. Built of volcanic stone walls. Then and all, their pyramid there. Look at that. Then you come to this place called Tahiti. Look at the pyramids here in Tahiti. Beautiful pyramids, isn't it? See, and all worshipping the sun. The Tahitian pyramids.
So these pyramids in this part of the world, these Micronesia, Polynesia pyramids, what they are actually conveying to us. We would like to show you one very small animation of something which actually flips the world for us. Okay, so we'll just look at this. One moment. Yeah, so we always think that America is to the west, but actually for India, the ancient India, America was to the east. See, we saw how there were so many pyramids here. We in Mexico, in Peru, and all that. We saw those pyramids as for the moon, the sun, and Machu Picchu, and all of that. So how come there is so much of similarity, and that too for the usage as temple? So then, if you look at it, the sea route, there are a lot of evidences which we have written in our book 2012, The Real Story, 2012, The Real Story, that there was navigation. The navigation from India through the Malacca Strait and through this region. So all this Tahiti, Polynesia, Micronesia that we're all talking about, they're all in this region. So it's through this that people have sailed. So there was a connect between these two civilizations. And it was through this sea. And look at the name of this sea. What did we call the sea? What do we still call the sea in Indian languages? This is called the Shanti Sagar. And how is this sea known to us today? As Pacific. from Shanti, peace, pacify, Pacific. So this is the ocean that we have navigated, and the telltale signs are these pyramids all along. Those that we saw in Cambodia, Thailand, and the Borobudur that we saw. Then this one that we saw, the Nan Madol that Hari just showed you. And these ones in Tahiti Islands. And interestingly, the name itself, Tahiti, if you look at the name in, this is how it is called today, but the original name for this island in the local languages is Otaiti. And it can be shown how these places were actually fueling points and stopover points for the route between India and Central Americas. And the scripts are shown to be similar here, the actual writing. Very, very similar. It's part of another topic, but they're very similar to what the Indus civilization scripts are. And from there, it can be shown that this Otaiti, how it could be a variation of the word Atithi. Atithi meaning guest. So it is a halting spot, a visiting island, and on the way. And therefore, it is no wonder that you find pyramids over here all along, which we saw as the Pyramid of the Moon. And this kind of a step pyramid, if you see this kind of a step pyramid, you will see even today you will find one such step pyramid just on the outskirts of Varanasi. It's called Chaukam Stupa. So you find exactly similar, and this is supposed to be one of the earliest form of pyramids in Egypt. So before the Gizeh structure came up, the pyramids used to be step pyramids like this, even in Egypt. And they are still there. You can still go and see some of those old step pyramids. In fact, one of the Hindi film songs, also one of the Hindi or Tamil film songs, originally Tamil, then dubbed, that was on the these kind of step pyramid. They are still there. And that shows you the similarity. Okay, you can have a triangular, a kind of a mountain-like structure, but then the idea to have it like a step, also you can see the similarity. Now this similarity, now we are seeing between Indian subcontinent and the American continent, and you're seeing it on Egypt's side. Now, does that similarity with Egypt stop with the pyramid alone? If you ask, you will see that it goes beyond. You will see a lot of similarity between the temple structure of Egypt as well as India. So it's this Meru was not just a one-off similarity. It's not a one-off cultural commonality that you find between Egypt and India.
So look at the temple of Amun, the supposed oldest and greatest temple of Egypt. If you look at the components of this temple and you look at the components of a temple in India, an equally ancient temple in India, you see a lot of similarities between the what you call Garbhagriha, Sanctum Sanctorium, the Dvajastamba, what they call as obelisks. Obviously, it's all a very Indian name, pylons. Each one is it's all a Greek Anglican name. But all this you see consistently, you see the connect, as Dr. Hema just said, it's not only a connect just about pyramids, but it's a connect of architecture across. So the largest temple is the temple of Amun, Karnak in Egypt. That to this you see connect. Now we'll get on to a little more other aspects. So I wanted to show you how it is connected. Each one is connected. So you can see that connect across both in the Indian temples. For example, the temple in Srirangam, the grand temple of Srirangam is the largest temple of India to the largest temple of Egypt. The temple of Srirangam in India is on the Kaveri River. There the temple is on the Karnak temple is on the Nile River. But the structure is so similar in every aspect. Look at the architecture. Across 2 continents, across 4-5 millennia, and so with this Meru reading leads us to many more points of civilization connect and architectural connect. So we've seen that all over. So you go to Tonga also, you get the Asholi. So all over you go, you get the same idea of the royal tombs, pyramids all over the world. And these are used beautifully across the land can see the number of man-made pyramids. Having said this, Russia. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have to do India still. That's what I must say. So look at this. In India, you have the idea of pyramids all over in different varieties, different forms. That's the beauty of it.
Only we haven't made it into a tourist circuit. We don't publicize them as pyramids. We don't make it a tourist circuit. But look at the number of actually pyramids that we have.
I'll show you this particular place. This place is called Tanjavur, very near Kumbakonam. This is a great temple. And look at the name of this temple. Today you call it Rajarajeshwaram and all those things, and you call it Brihadishwar temple. Today's official name is Brihadishwar temple. A century back it was called Rajarajeshwaram. Before that, this particular structure is called Dakshina Meru. This whole Gopuram Shikara is called Dakshina Meru, as originally named. Because there is a Meru in the north, there is a Meru in the south. Dakshina Meru. This is in Tanjavur. This is a great, huge temple. Then you come a little further, closer to Chennai. There is a place called Uttira Meru. The Ur obviously is, as I told you, is a suffix added. Ur, Uttara Meru, Ur. Uttara Meru. So Uttara means north. So the one in the north. So this is also a Meru. Look at that. Then you come to Karnataka. You have a Meru there. Right in the Kalasa district. One of the discovered Meru. So it's there right in the Western Ghats. On top of the mountain between Bengaluru and Mangaluru. You have a Meru there. Then you come to, we all know the town of Ajmer. All of us must have heard of it. Ajmer, wonderful architecture there, Rajput architecture. But the original term is what? Ajeya Meru. Ajeya means undefeated. Ajeya Meru. In today's language, it's by the British, it's been short formed as Ajmer. When you say Ajmer, you don't realize what it is. The original term is Ajeya Meru. The beauty of, see, the undefeated Meru. Look at this. So the town has been built around this. The fort is also here, Ajay Meru. It's a natural shape of a Meru. So they used it so well. Then you go a little more up north there. You have Jaisalmer today. Again, a very English term, Jaisalmer. Original name is Jaisalmeru, the fort of Raja Jaisal atop the hill. So this is Jaisalmeru. This is also a Meru. Look at the idea. So, but you call it Jaisalmer today. When you say Jaisalmer, you don't realize it's a Meru. Then you come here. This is a place called Ahi Chatra. Ahi Chatra is famous because it's an Ahi. Look at this shape of this ancient building going back 5,000 years. This is Ahi Chatra is mentioned in Mahabharata as the capital of Panchal. Would anybody like to guess what's this Panchal, capital of Panchal, got to do? Ahi Chatra, Mahabharata, it's a pyramid here, Panchal, close to Bareilly. It was excavated only in 1940. That's a different matter. 187 hectares is the size of the Meru. 187 hectares, the size of the Meru. Look at the amazing architectural structure.
And it's a step.
It's a step pyramid. You'd like to guess anybody? Panchal? Okay. This is where the place Panchali, Draupadi was born. Panchal Desha, Draupadi. Look at that. Huge shivling on top of the pyramid there. Panchal Desha. Obviously, very rundown now. This is the broken part of the shivling that's on top. It is here that Drupada performs yajna for the birth of Panchali. So then you come here, you come to this is Vaishali, where Buddha was. There again you have a pyramid. You have a Ashoka lion there, a single lion, stupa. But again you have this is in Vaishali North. We are almost close to Nepal. You have pyramid. Then you come to Bengal. Look at the beautiful Ras Pancha pyramidical structure in Bishnupur, West Bengal. This is a stage for dances. Built about 500 years ago by the Malla kings. They were Vaishnava Ras Utsavs, were held here. Look at the pyramidical structure. So you have an earlier photograph of it about 150 years ago. Look at the verandas inside the structure, brick structure. Amazing architecture. Then you come to, look at this. This is the small ziggurat. This is near Kabul. We saw the big ziggurat sometime back in Farsi, Persia.
They call this Anu ziggurat.
Anu ziggurat. Anu here means smaller one. This is near Kabul. The aerial view of it, the closest structure here. This is near Kabul. And what do they call it? Guldara Stupa. It's a stupa. And we come here. Look at this. In Mohenjo-daro, the citadel, what they call citadel in English language, because that's what they understood it. The people who excavated it 100 years back, they call it citadel. It goes back to 4,000 years ago. Now it's in Pakistan, but originally of the Indus Valley civilization. Look at this, also looks like a clear shape of a pyramid. So right from Harappa, and this is what you see. Now it is in the district of Larkana, Mohenjo-daro. So the Kushana period. Another one. So you have pyramids all over the land in different ways. As she said, one showed in India too. Now, having seen the pyramids, man-made, let's look at some of the natural ones. You have natural pyramids all over, what we call Parvat, mountain, Adri, Giri, all that. So Meru, Sumeru, Mahameru, the good, holy, divine. Where all do you have it? What about, do you have it? Do you have one in Kenya? Yes, there's a great pyramid there. And people call it Meru. The best part is this particular pyramid. So they call it Meru. That's the beauty of it. Look at this. The locals call it Meru.
Actually, if you look at it all along Africa, it's called Meru, Meru.
Look at this. This mountain in Tanzania is called Meru Mountain in the local language. So look at the spread of our civilizational thought many millennia ago to different parts of Africa. Look at Egypt. We saw the natural pyramids. Look at this. This is called Mount Meru even now. And of course, in English, they call it Pyramid Valley in the tourist brochure. This is the Valley of Kings, where the top looks like a pyramid. But this is a natural hill. So all the King's pyramid is there. Then you come to Japan. Nagoya, Japan. That they call it Sumeru. It's a natural pyramid. When you look at Mount Fuji from a plane, they call it Sumeru. Mount Fuji is also local name, we call it. You come to Java, you have this pyramids there. Look at that. I spoke to you about this, no? The smoking volcanic hills. They're called Mahameru in the local language. Berapi, Gunung Berapi, Mahameru. This is in Java, Indonesia. Then you come to Venezuela. Look at this. It's one of the highest falls of the world. It looks like a Meru by itself. And they call it this is indigenous property, not for the Spanish invaders to occupy. And what do they call it? Kerepa Kupai Meru, the tallest waterfall of the world. That's a traditional name. In Venezuela, many millennia ago, they called it the Meru. Now, of course, they give it a very Anglican name and they call it Angel Falls. Nothing, no. Its original name is Meru Falls. It's almost 1,000 meters tall. And look, come to Mexico here. The view of Machu Picchu Island, this is the Meru view. So you got Meru, look at that. They got a young peak, a tall peak. Both are called the old Machu Picchu, big Machu Picchu, both are called Meru. So look at the idea of Meru all across India. Then you come to Tibet. Tibet is Trivishta. What we call anglicized form as Tibet is Trivishta. Now in China, what do they call it? Mount Sumeru. That's where all the where the Dalai Lama and all used to live earlier days. So this is called there. In Himalayas, you come. You have a Meru Parvat there. This is different from your Mount Everest, which is original name is Sagaramate. The Indian name Himalaya Mount Everest is a Britisher name. Our Indian name is Sagaramati. Next to that, you have something called Meru Parvat. So look at that. And in Tiruvannamalai, halfway between Madras and Trichy, which we showed you earlier, there's Tiruvannamalai. Then Tiruvannamalai, what is it? Arunachala, the Lord Shiva. This is on top of it is what this suppose the holy town where Kartika Masa is very famous. So here it's the town temple is here at the foot of the hills. This is also called Meru, where Ramana Maharishi lived and prayed there. So you got this idea of Parvat being Meru all across the land. So you got Sumeru, man-made, you got natural one, Mahameru, both you have. And some of the tallest mountains in the world are that's why called Meru Parvat, Sumeru, Mahameru. And all this, you see the connection that we're able to bring about what BBC couldn't. They showed only 7. Whereas we, understanding Indian knowledge, IKS, Indian knowledge system, we can connect over 45 different man-made Merus and about 10 different natural Mahameru and Sumerus and bring it together. So we people who are architects, all of you, great architects in your own sphere, through this IKS program can understand this. So the connect is in different parts of the world, across time spans, across civilizations. Look at the beauty. So it is while there are people are only trying to correlate the pyramid structures, we are able to go beyond it. Why? Because we understand that this triangular dimensional pyramid form is one of the most stable forms, one of the strongest forms. It's a testimony that it has lived for 5,000 years. How many of the structures that we build today, we can say confidently transgresses time and survives 3,000 years, 2,000 years, 5,000 years, survives the onslaught of time. The Merus have some of the greatest structures of the world, under the sea, in the sea, and all that. But the point is, the software to understand these pyramids lie within us in Bharat. The hardware is all over the world. But if people try to understand this product of Meru without understanding the software, and they only try to see the hardware, it's exactly like a blind man trying to describe an elephant. That's unfortunately been the case with most people. They should realize that the software, so the software is here with us. The hardware is strewn all over the world because times have changed, evolved. So we should know how to mix the two, involve the two to understand how the Merus are there. Because you have this in Hindu text, Jain text, Buddhist text, Puranic literature. You have all these Merus mentioned, different types. Because you have Meru Puja today. Why? Because there's a spiritual meaning to it that has been correlated. You have this in Sankalpa, where you say Meru Dakshina Pashve in our Sankalpa. So we understand it from that perspective. Very clearly see south of Meru. So it is there in our calendrical system. And in Jain text, very important, the idea of Sumeru, the first Tirthankara, Adinath, the venerable Rishabdev Bhagavan, he attained Nirvana. Meru Parvat. So it's a very important part of our Jain understanding. So spirituality, Jain texts speak about it very beautifully. This text speak of, we showed you earlier, the Meru Mandala in Buddhism is a very important aspect, which speaks so much about the idea of Meru. And Buddha's home itself is there, represents Ananda as Meru. In Puranic literature too, you have so much information of so the British call it mythical. No, we have a very clear data about it, about all these mountains which are in the center of Jambudvipa, because the plates for keep on changing. Earth plates are constantly moving. So in that earth plates, you have the idea of Jambudvipa, all the concentric circles. So you have this across the times explained. So when you look at it, sometimes people mistake Meru and Kailas. No, they're two different peaks. Mount Meru is a different peak. Kailas is a different peak. They're near each other, separate peaks. That's what we should understand. Both are equally important for us in veneration and in understanding them scientifically as people of science, people of knowledge. So you have the idea of Meru also denotes knowledge. The triangle, look at this triangle, denotes knowledge. In Japan, this particular triangle denotes blessings. Also, because the way we often know this, the seen as a knowledge, the triangle denoting knowledge. Look at this in Japan. In India, obviously, it denotes knowledge. That's why when you have Mahavishnu, when you venerate, On his chest, you have something called Srivatsa, a triangle impression that denotes the avatar of Vishnu as equilateral triangle, which is knowledge denoting. That you have that very clearly on his chest, denoting knowledge. Look at that impression, knowledge giving. Similarly, you come here to Israel, Yahweh, the ultimate Godhead, the fountainhead of knowledge. It's all again the same form of triangle, Yahweh. There. Similarly, you come to Greece, the ancient centers. Look at the halo itself for an ancient master was triangle, was not spherical but triangle. That was a beauty because that was what knowledge denoted as triangle. Then you come to the Roman civilization. Then you get the same thing there also. Then you come to Jehovah in South America, Brazil, the forbidden knowledge. That's again showed only as a triangle. You come to North America. When you talk about Scientology, the new science, they come up with the Greek word, Scientology. Even there, they use a triangle to represent knowledge. So you see, across the lands, you have the pre-halo concept of showing this as a sense of knowledge. So you have it in the form of hardware all over the world. As we have seen, we have it in the form of software in the different ways. When we do dhyana, what do we do it? We do it as Meru Danda. Our body itself is like a Meru. So all your chakras form part of this Meru. Look at this. We bring in the Meru into our body when we do all our dhyana. Of course, in English, you call it meditation. The right Indian word is dhyan, dhyanam, chan, zen. All this, the Chinese, Japanese, Oriental way, where you speak about how you can bring energies into yourself. Look at the idea of pyramid, fire mid. You bring in energies within the self, within the consciousness. So you have a Meru Danda asana too. Very clearly, where you bring in all this into the self, the idea of Meru. Similarly, you talk about Fibonacci series. These are great numbers. I'm sure as architects, all of you read the Fibonacci series, which is attributed to Fibonacci. But much before Fibonacci and all the series, it was with Hemachandra. And before Hemachandra to Gospala, and this goes back into our knowledge. Because this numbers is not that Fibonacci found it out 1,000 years back. 150 years before Fibonacci, Hemachandra writes it, a great scholar, Jain scholar from Rajasthan. Before that, Gospala writes about it. So before that, this idea, what you call Pascal's triangle today, is actually Meru Prastara. Pingala describes it in Chanda Sastra. Look at the great mathematical knowledge. Because architecture, you need this as a base mathematical knowledge, as all architects. That's what it is. So Pingala describes it. So the same idea is what? You plan your honeycomb pattern in your Meru Prastara in nature. That is there in mathematics too. Pingalas, Acharya Pingala, who lived probably 300 BC, 3000 BC, doesn't matter the antiquity, because it goes back so much. You speak of binomial sequence. Same thing is, he has written about it millennia ago. In brevity, that's the beauty of it. The brevity with which Pingala has communicated this triangle in binomial sequence. Look at that. The whole idea of Meru is explained. Now, we all attribute it to a 300-year-old French mathematician by name Blaise Pascal, and say we call it Pascal's triangle. Isn't it very unfortunate? The knowledge is here across millennia. And Khayyam speaks about it. Omar Khayyam, he's a Persian mathematician, speaks about it, from which it goes to Pascal. So how it goes from Acharya Pingala to Omar Khayyam, and then it comes to Pascal. Look at this. Goes across continents, across time. That's how we get the idea of Meru Prastara and Sri Yantra. All across, you get this. It's the same ratio is there in humans too, to your Nabi, to your whole length of the body. The same ratio continues. It's called the golden ratio. Different names, but the idea is that you have all your divine ratios across. So all this you discuss about is including in the famous paintings in Parthenian, etc. So you have the idea all over the land. The beauty is I wanted to just show you how we see the idea of Meru both in hardware and software in India. So you have the software in India, the hardware strewn all over the world. With this, I think we have tried to cover quite a bit for you. Of course, we have a lot more, but given that's almost 1 hour since we started, or a little more than 70 minutes, the time given to us by Dr. Mishra, I think we have covered quite a bit. Any questions on the subject, we'll be glad to take. I think this would give you, and this is available, all this data is available in our book called 2012, The Real Story, and in our book, Brand Bharat. Two books which Hema will show you now where these two books are available. Those of you who want to browse through them, you can go through it. Both these books are available on Kindle. You can go to our BharathGyan website and you can check out both these books. Those who want to read further information, certainly we also made a short film on the triangles. If you want,
We'll just play that now for
if
you.
you want to see it, so you go to the books.
Yeah. So here in this book, which is called Roots in India, you can click on Roots in India, and that will take you to this where you can get this book. But I'll just briefly show you what is in that book about the Meru. So all that we spoke about today, you will find it in this aspect about Meru. And you'll in fact find a lot more about the whole aspect of maths itself, which has gone from here, and about the idea, the golden triangle. So Meru, mathematical pyramids. So in literature, in culture, in yoga, in worship, and about this Fibonacci series.
The yantra, the concept of yantra, which is actually a zenith of the idea of the pyramid. So all this data is available for you to read. How Fibonacci came up with this based on Indian knowledge, and how it went from Hemachandra and others.
How this is one sequence where the ratio between two consecutive numbers is this 1.6. I mean, since you're all already architects, and also you would have learnt about art, and you may be familiar with this, the golden ratio, you will find that this is a ratio in nature itself. So 1.6 between any two numbers in this sequence. And that is what you see right from the arrangement of the spiral galaxy
in which we are part of. So its arrangement, our sun is part of the spiral galaxy, the Surya Malika, the solar system is part of it, and we are part of it. So how everything is in nature, that's the beauty of it.
And this Meru, therefore, if you really look at it, as it goes up, it keeps going up in this ratio of the golden ratio. And that is what, so here you see it as the spine cone, you see it as the disc arrangement of florets in plants, all of that. And that is how we have also, so when you have maths and that leading to Meru, you also have this golden triangle, which is called Mantra, Tantra, Yantra. We'll play a short film that will help you understand that even more easily. And you see that in all forms of art and overall nature, fractals itself, the geometric designs in various mosques.
Look at this, Ispahan, one of the great mosques. Look at the design that has been used, because these were Indian artisans who went there, who were taken there as slaves. So this is about a millennia ago. So this mosque was built. They used the Indian knowledge for it. Look at the fact that in Japan too, the temples of Japan, Borobudur, Angkor Wat, you see across the land the beauty of our Meru, Sumeru, Mahameru, the Danda, all those things. And that's why in Shakti temples you have the idea of Meru in front of the Devi. And when you do your Rangoli patterns, what do? You do the same Rangoli patterns, you do the same Meru. All your beautiful Rangoli patterns, the kolam that you call in south and Rangoli you call in north, all of that. So the understanding the pyramid is not just a structure of this thing, it's a whole host of data. There's one more book I'll show you.
I will actually now show you about, okay, I can also show you
the book 2012, that's there.
Where we saw about the Indo-American Connect.
In which again we speak about Meru. This book is also there.
2012. So Connect Over Millennia series. You can go to this 2012.
This is available for you for read. This book. So it speaks about the connection through India to Java, to all these parts of Southeast Asia, and thereon. It's a beautiful connect. The story of Meru, actually, when Dr. S. Mishra asked us whether we can do it, I said certainly yes, because it's a beautiful connect showing people across times. It's in the sky too. The connect is in the sky.
See, we told you about the script, Atithi, the Tahiti Islands, and how they are Atithi, the unannounced guests. And you will find this similarity. This is the Tahiti script. This is the Harappan script. And what was the possibility that these could be those halting spots? So here is about the pyramids.
Look at these pyramids there. This is in central Java, mind you. She'll show you the connection. Actually, we both stand. Look at this pyramid. She'll show you. We both are standing there, praying to the divine.
So Suko, Chandi Suko and Chandi Cheto, these are two pyramids.
Great pyramids of central Indonesia. Actually, we both went there to pray to these pyramids.
And what is even more astonishing, you have tortoise here.
So look at that Kurma avatar.
So the way we also have the idea of tortoise as the base which supports, especially if you look at our Meru worship, they will also have it on a tortoise base in temples. And here you have the tortoise and you have the Meru on top. And this is a very, very ancient temple, old ancient temple.
Millennia old. Millennia old.
And this was not a tomb. So you can climb in, and this is the inside prayer room, the sanctum, and then you have on top.
You can go on top and pray.
That was like, see here again. So this is the other temple. So you find lots of, and they also have this commonality with Garuda. So these are some nice, interesting aspects that you can find in the, see, look here, Garuda.
The connection between Garuda in India and all these parts of it which go along with the pyramids.
See, this is Garuda in that Suko temple in Indonesia, Central Java.
And in Mayan Copan, Honduras.
Mayan temples as well. So we are seeing this continuity here of using the Meru structure
across the Pacific.
Worship across Pacific, and you see Garuda pattern unfolding everywhere.
You see it in the east coast of Pacific, which is west coast of America, and the west coast of Pacific, which is the east coast of Asia.
That's so what now I'll just show you the film on the Mantra Tantra Yantra. If you go to our website itself, we can go to films, and it'll immediately take you to the playlist. There is one playlist which is called Amazing India. This is Amazing India in Hindi. This is in English.
We'll show the natural triangle. There are a lot of films about this.
If you keep scrolling down that playlist,
lot of films on architecture, which all of you can later watch at your convenience. Just show you one sample that is relevant to the subject of triangles and Meru. There you got it.
A naturally engineered triangle.
A naturally engineered triangle. The term Meru Prasthara in Indian mathematics encompasses the concept of golden numbers, golden ratios, golden means, golden curves, golden spirals, golden triangles, and so on, that create the whirl, the heap, the pattern, the order in the cosmos. It is this universal order that has been seen, understood, and expressed mathematically and venerated by the Indians from time immemorial in divine forms such as Gopura of temples and Yantra, geometric shapes. Yantra display the geometry in nature. There are 108 and more of these yantra in various permutations and combinations. Each pattern has a specific name. It is a name that denotes not just the divinity, but a definite purpose, with an antiquity going back to the Vedic period. The word yantra means an engineered device. a device that has been engineered based on certain science, engineered for some purpose, engineered by human mind, engineered as divine. The yantra are representations of the golden ratio as well as other natural series in nature. If yantra is the engineered manifestation of nature's principle, then where is the science that lies behind this engineered device? That lies in the mantra for the yantra. If there is both science and engineering, then can technology of applying the science and using the engineered device be left behind? That is the tantra for using the yantra with its mantra. Mantra, Yantra, and Tantra of India have formed a golden triangle of practices that have taken man to the summit of subtle knowledge. Mantra, Yantra, and Tantra have helped Indians reach the climax in understanding the forces of nature, experiencing the knowledge of nature, and harnessing the experiences for the benefit of self, society, and surroundings. It is within this divine triangle of mantra, yantra, and tantra, which together culminate as the practice of Meru worship, lies the answer to the great pyramids of the world. While the word pyramid is a Greek word meaning pyre or fire in the mid or middle, it will be interesting to note that the pyramids in the native Egyptian language are actually called Mr, just like the Indian word Meru. The home of knowledge, wisdom, and philosophy for thousands of years. This is amazing India.
India, the navigational giant. Was
So I think we have covered quite a bit in the last almost 80, 90 minutes. We'd like to uh, give it back to Dr. Mishra, Professor Mishra. Any questions you'd be glad to take uh, on the subject, on the subject of Meru worldwide. Because, when she asked us, I said certainly we'll be glad to do it, and we're glad to share. I hope you all liked what you saw, but you can always discuss any points. Welcome, please.
Thank you so much, sir. This is one of those awesome presentation that we all have will agree in one point that this has changed our perspective to look different masterpieces and analyze the unbroken linkages. You know, like this is definitely, I'm very sure many of the research scholars would have today might have thought, okay, this is one way we can look at masterpieces and start our research. And I would definitely, I would say I'm fortunate to witness this program, to witness this presentation, which I'm really thankful. And now I'm dedicated architect Devasthi Star take to the presentation.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure, please.
Yes. Yeah. So myself, Bandhan Mishra from Geetham School of Architecture, Vishakhapatnam. Sir, first of
Yes,
all,
sir.
it's a wonderful presentation and salutations to you for such a detailed presentation. To be very honest, I have never seen such a presentation, sir. So my one question, is there any mention of Egyptian pyramid in Vedic text or any Hindu literature, sir?
So, actually, good question. See, Vedic texts speak about knowledge. The very word Veda comes from the word Vidya, wit, wisdom, the English word. So it speaks about knowledge. The spread across the world is more found in Puranic literature, which is an ancillary to the Veda, because Veda per se speaks about knowledge, and Veda speaks about navigation across the oceans. So that is the focus of Veda, obviously, and then and the idea of Varuna.
Veda will say Meru. Or see, in any Indian text, we would have just said Meru because that is what it is everywhere else as well. So we would not have distinguished. It would have just been Meru, Meru, Meru,
All over
many
the world.
occurrences. And geographical aspects you will find, like you said, in Purana, in the Itihasa.
That's where we find.
That is where we would find a lot of other, and you would find references to Egypt as Mishra, not Egypt again, because that is the original name.
Misra Desha.
Misra Desha.
MISR. Misra Desha is what Egypt is.
And it's very interesting because that is a culminating point, obviously, that's a kind of entry to Northern Europe, and it is the Northern Africa, and it is the entry point for via the Nile to go into Africa. And therefore, it would have been a place with people from various civilizations. So like a potpourri and Mishra. And
look at the idea, it's a melting pot.
And
that's a potpourri.
Mishra, mixture, Mishran.
The English word mixture, the Hindi word Mishran, Misra, so where everything meet. The Africans meet, the Arabs meet, the Europeans meet, the Indians meet, Bharatiya meet, also it's a place of confluence, Misra Desh. That's why it's called Misra Desha. There's a huge connect 5,000 years ago. It's a civilization that connected civilizations. That's why they call them Misra. Even though the Bank of Egypt is called Misra, Bank of Misra.
They call themselves Mishra. They don't say we are Egypt. Like we say Bharat, our native name, indigenous name is Bharat. We also have another name, India. Their indigenous name is Mishra, and their name as by which they've been known by other civilizations, modern civilization, is Egypt.
They call themselves Misra still, traditionally.
Of course, in Hindi and all, or in local languages, you'll find Egypt called as Egypt and all that. But that is all relatively newer literature. Original, if you want to look at our traditional works, it would have been referred to as Mishra.
Mishra Desha.
So Mishra, Meru. So fundamentally, we have to now orient ourselves into thinking about the world using our vocabulary, native indigenous vocabulary. Especially if you're wanting to look for olden things, then you have to look at the Sanskrit vocabulary or the other traditional, very ancient language of the southern languages, the Tamil vocabulary. These two ancient vocabularies, we have to look at things from that perspective.
Basically, what she's saying, decolonize our mind from the Anglican view. They have left us 75 years ago, physically, but they're not left our mind or our vocabulary. So to decolonize ourselves.
And it's nice to learn that you're from Geetam, because we met a couple of your colleagues in one of the FDPs last weekend. Dr. Malyada from dance and Dr. Anand from music at Chennai.
Right.
Very interesting. Glad to have met you.
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the beautiful explanation. Also, I would request, I'm Architect Devashish Das. I congratulate both sir and ma'am for the enlightening presentation, and I also request other participants to kindly put forward your questions. Whatever questions you have, you can switch on your video and mic and give.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, Professor
First of all, I am Dr. Parthasarthi Mishra, Faculty of Architecture, Sri University. So,
Yes,
it's a great to see this kind of presentations. During my masters, I have tried to do the shape and geometry analysis of Odyssean temple architecture. However, I severely failed, but I somehow passed my masters. During that process, I have gone through all the Fibonacci series, fractal geometry, the golden mean ratio. All these things are there in the Odyssean temple and all over the nature also. During that process, I got to know about the fractal geometry. Whenever we are talking about the real numbers or the whole number, 1, 2, 3 kind of things, then we came up with the decimal numbers like 1.1, 1.2. But recently I got to know about the fractal geometry and fractal dimensions. Like we have one dimensional, two dimensional, and three dimensional things, and in between we have some in between dimensions like 2.1 dimensions, 2.3 dimensions, like that. And some of the software through we are trying to get those things. Can you elaborate, or have you come across with that fractal geometry, whatever, uh, any way? Can you explain a little bit on that?
uh, 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 Actually, on the fractal aspect of all these ratios, I'm afraid we can't get into it, I mean, at the moment, or that aspect per se. But interestingly, I will actually want to, since you spoke about dimensions, I
Yes.
want to bring it, draw all our attention to the fact about this Sri Yantra itself. See, we are normally used to seeing the yantra on a flat plane, right? As a drawing. In fact, many of our drawings, like that Hridaya Kamal Rangoli that we showed you and all that, we are used to seeing it on a flat plane as a two-planar drawing. But this Sri Yantra is actually, if you take it on a 3D, it becomes the Meru. If you take all those triangles, it becomes the Meru as well. And the entire yantra, which and what they call as nava varana, 9 layers. The Sri yantra they talk about as the 9 layers with all those flowers, those the lotus, 16 petal, 8 petal, and then the triangles one into the other. And interestingly, this itself becomes like a fractal form, because within a triangle to triangle to triangle, the Pascal's ratio itself, you have so many, it just, extends infinitely. You can keep extending it. So this idea of this 3 dimension, if you start looking at Meru from a 3 dimension, I think that will itself give you a very different perspective. Yet another perspective of Meru that I want to bring to all our minds is Meru need not necessarily mean a triangle alone as such. If you think of Meru as a peak, a point, as a vertex or an axis, okay, because this perspective you will get if you look at how astronomy looks at, Jyotisha looks at Meru. For Jyotisha, they also look at, the Earth's axis is there, right? So the point of the Earth's axis, the north point, North Pole, I mean south, north and south, that point also is seen as a Meru. I'll show you just if I can share, and I'll show you for a minute. Just a second, share. Yes. Actually, the precision I can show. Melody no software. Yeah, mirror point. No, not this. Huh? No, not this. And it's there in the precision.
We'll show you.
Can you see our screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So here again, look at this. This is the Earth's axis itself is wobbling and it's tracing a circle. And that motion is called precession. So this cone, this is after all a cone. So when it precesses, it wobbles. So there is a tip here. This is also like a triangle, a conical structure. So these tips ends are also called Merus. So the idea of Meru is, it's not just limited to a triangle alone. And
this is axis, the Earth's axis itself forms a Meru for us.
In the sky.
In relation to the pole star. in the north, and the equivalent to the pole star, the crux Agastya star in the south. So look at that. So it is not limited to earth, it is not limited to architecture on earth, nor is it limited to the puja yantra in our what we do puja with. It is to the sky also. It's Jyotisha. Look at the beautiful connect. Maths, Jyotisha, architecture, divinity, rituals,
And even more
time, constellation.
And what is interesting is if you start putting the Meru and the Fibonacci sequence, you will find that it is growing at the base. So the top is actually going up because the base keeps growing. So as this grows, the triangle keeps growing up. So that's a very the height is therefore infinite because the base keeps growing. It is not from here, it is like this.
So it is a bottom-up approach.
You keep increasing the base, the top goes. We normally tend to think, when we think of a triangle or a top, we think of it as top down. But if you start thinking, it is actually bottom up, the base grows and grows and grows, and it keeps pushing this up and up and up. So these are certain perspectives that
as architects we can imbibe on.
And we can try to pick up from these concepts
Ideas.
in Indian systems.
Thank you, Professor Bishop, for asking
Thank
this very nice question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a question actually.
Any
Hello,
other? Yes, sir.
am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. And madam, it's really indeed a very nice and very good presentation.
Thank you.
But I have a question. So how to assess the value of all the Merus being an heritage structures for the for the future generation or for the future period? Is it an opinion expert survey criteria methodology method?
Can you please repeat? I missed a little bit parts. How to
assess the value of all the Merus being a heritage structure throughout the world for the future generation maybe. So is it an opinion expert survey methodology criteria?
See, all these Merus, what we showed you, are all huge structures, obviously open air, meant to be in connect with the cosmos, with the human within us, the Prakriti, and it's obviously open air because it is what you call it non-open air is what you have for your puja yantras that you have within your puja room, but that is at a ritual purpose. While the large one is also used for ritual as well as for connect. What is it you do? As she showed you that pole start connecting the poles with the precision of equinox. We're connecting with time. If you look at the shape of the three pyramids in Egypt, Gizeh, especially Egypt, they've got hundreds of thousands of pyramids. I'm talking about the Gizeh pyramids, the primary three pyramids. The angle of it also connects with your Orion belt. So there are a lot more messages. And to simple answer your question, are they open air? Yes. Are they connecting across millennia? Yes. Are they connecting us with space and astral aspects? Yes. Is it connecting with our internal sciences? Yes. It is connecting across spheres. Is it mathematically connecting? Yes. Are we part of that connect? Yes. So all these, it is to see the sciences in it and relish the connect across continents, across time, across space, across sciences, across subjects. So across open air to both within and without, both.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Is there any more participant who want to ask questions?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sonia. It's not about the question, but my heartfelt gratitude to ma'am, sir, because today's session was really a kind of enlightening one. Uh, I don't think the word is sufficient enough to express what right now I am feeling. It's overwhelming. Just a very childlike inquisitiveness. At what point of your life you kind of started exploring this topic which you have shared right now today? Because we have been kind of studying and teaching all these aspects in what should I say, boxes, which were kind of not related when we were looking at it. But what actually triggered your interest in this area and how it has started? If you can just share your experience and your journey, if you are convenient. Thank you so much.
Sure, sure. First of all, thank you so much, Professor, for your kind words of appreciation. We really appreciate you for saying such nice words. Our namaskaram to you on that. And see, the basic idea is, as people, our basic idea is to be inquisitive. The point of asking question. So every area we ask question. For example, I'll tell you one of the questions we asked in Egypt. The Egyptologist whom we had engaged to take us around and show us the whole of Egypt. You got guides, but we wanted an Egyptologist, so we got an Egyptologist. One of the first question we asked him was, this term pyramid is obviously a Greek term. What is the term that you have in your old Egyptian language? Because he was telling everybody pyramid. I said, I don't want the pyramid term. I know the pyramid term that is there in the books to read, but what is your term? Tell me that you use. He said the term is Meru. So the idea is inquisitiveness. We have to ask everything. We have to ask. See, the idea of asking question is two types. One is to know. So you have a tarka, which is what we see Mandana Mishra to Adi Shankara. The idea is to know. Nyan, to know. Nyan. Go to engage your nyanam. Okay, that is the other way of questioning is ku tarka, where the idea is not to learn or know, but to put down the other person. That takes us nowhere. But unfortunately, many students engage in that as faculty. I'm sure you know that. They want to show they know, either to their friends or others, they want to show they know. But the idea is when we genuinely want to know, nyan, we ask questions out of humility, humbleness to learn that, because we have gone there all the way to know. So similarly, when we go to other places also, the idea is to ask them to learn from each other's knowledge. But the fundamental point is what? Asking questions. How did Veda come up? By asking questions of nature, Prakriti. How did Bhagavad Gita come to us? With Arjuna asking questions of Krishna. How did Upanishad comes to us? Of the student asking question of the Acharya. That's how Upanishad came to us, isn't it? Every knowledge of science. How did Buddha give? It is by asking questions. The students ask questions of Buddha. Buddha gave knowledge. Which is similarly when you have the satsangs of Gurudev, Shri Ravi Shankar, what is it? People ask questions, so knowledge comes out. So the idea is everywhere of asking questions. That is the beauty of IKS, Indian Knowledge System, of the beauty of the Indian civilization, the beauty of the Bharatiya civilization is to ask questions. This is the one civilization which encourages asking of questions. It's only by questioning in the right perspective, not kutarka, but the idea of questioning that we get to know. That is how we assimilate knowledge. We have been in this quest of asking questions. And that is how we also learn. So the process is simple, but at the same time complex. It is simple, yes, because the idea is learn by asking. The intent is to know, not to show off.
And like you said, if you think in boxes, you will stay in a box. But the moment you just ask and you're inquisitive and you get a knowledge, you will automatically see that it's a knowledge that touches many aspects. So while your question may have been on a subject A, you may end up getting inputs on some other aspect, some other subject. So all you have to be aware of is to be able to take it and keep it, I mean, put it in store against each one of them, and you will see the links emerge over time. So, and they are all connected. You go to Meru, especially Meru, you will find a beautiful connect which which connects the material to the spiritual. The manifest and the unmanifest, they both get connected very beautifully through the Meru. It is, in fact, that is a very nice bridge. And depending on how wide you can become, that Meru can really be that long enough bridge to bridge both the physical and the spiritual.
It's both
It
personal
can
and
become
physical.
that tall. And that is, in fact, what is the key. So while we see these temples, see, it's very beautifully said. They are saying pyramid, fire in the middle. And then these are called as temples. And interestingly, if you see our Gopura, they're quite, they go all the way
Shikara.
up Shikara, they're quite pointed at the top. Whereas these Mexicans, you find that they are rather flat.
Step.
And then they go on top of that, and that is a place of worship on the top as well.
Which you showed the image. They showed the image there.
That ratio of that spot at the pyramid, the mid, that seems to be important. And if you then correlate with how we have used Meru, if you look at it, we put the Meru, a small Meru, a symbolic Meru, we put it on a Sri Yantra, and where you have all these different 9 layers of getting to the center, where the center has a bindu that represents your ultimate, the consciousness, and how each layer represents your own being, and in the form of worship, how you are supposed to superimpose your physical being on a kind of a visualization, and then take your concentration. So Meru is not just a physical diagram or a physical shape. It is a way that you can connect. It's a metaphysical structure, actually.
So this use of bindu. That bindu is connected to the bindi that we wear on our foreheads. So that is a huge connect. Of course, there's a film on bindi also. Please watch it. It's in our same YouTube channel, BharathGyan, on idea the connecting the bindi across time with the bindu. So the Meru is connected in the body to the Meru Danda to the bindu, which is why we wear the bindi.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, again. Praveen, sir, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah. Hello,
Yes,
sir.
sir, please
Thank you
go
for
ahead.
such an enlightening presentation. I am a practicing architect. I'm digressing from this topic a bit because I don't know whether I'll get to connect with August people like you again or not. So,
Anytime.
Anytime.
You have our email
your-
IDs. We'll show you our email IDs. You can always be in touch. We'll put it up as
Sure.
the last slide.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is, your presentation obviously proved that there was global connectivity and exchange of culture, art, and architecture in ancient times. So, taking that into consideration, ma'am, what is your take on this theory of Aryan invasion on India?
Sir, all of us are Arya. The word Arya means noble. Arya, the word means noble. Arya, noble. There's no word called Aryan, Aryan. There's no word called Aryan. Aryan is a word created by the British and the Europeans to say about the superiority. So there's no invasion, there's no Aryan. The word Aryan and the idea of Aryan created the World War II and millions and millions of people being killed and thousands of people being separated. So the idea of Aryan is a misnomer. The word of Arya is about nobility. Clouds are Arya because they bring you water. People are Arya. Idea is Arya. Food is Arya. Language is Arya because it's all noble. There's nothing called Aryan. Aryan is a coined word to speak of one person being superior to others. That is the Europeans being superior. So it's a very European idea which led to the idea of superior race, which led to Hitler, led to World War II, and led to separation, unnecessary problems in India, in Africa, everywhere. It's a very colonial idea of superiority. There's no Aryan idea, so there's no invasion also. But Arya is noble.
And
So they used a noble word for a very ignoble purpose.
And we have written about that in detail in this book, Breaking the Myths
About
series,
identity.
in About Identity. We have got
Explained
that
it in great detail. You can welcome read it in this book. At least about 100 pages deals with the various layers of the ignoble idea of Aryan, taken from a noble idea of Arya.
So Aryans invaded India and civilized it. That is the myth. So what is it exactly? And so we've given all the various theories we've discussed in detail in this particular thing. And then we have also said, so if Aryan is a myth, then is Dravidian word also a myth? So we look at that word as well.
Both.
And then we explain. So this particular book, we have dealt with it in detail.
So when you decolonize our minds as we have to, we'll have to also remove the unwanted colonial baggage and look at ourselves from a practical, nice, clear perspective of understanding that we are all noble people.
That's why if you look at the different civilizational connects that we showed you, we have compiled it under a collation that we call as Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam, because that is one of the mottos of the Indian civilization, Bharatiya civilization, is Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam. We see the Indian psyche is that of abundance, abundance of material things as well as knowledge, both scientific and spiritual. And this civilization, therefore, has always wanted to share all this with the world. That's why it said Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam. Aryam means noble, elevated. So let us elevate the world. Let us share all our sciences, spiritual knowledge, and the things that we have with the world to lift the world up. So Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam, not Aryan.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor. We'll show you where our email ID is.
Yeah, we'll actually show you our
email ID, BharathGyan. You can all go to our website. In our website, you'll easily get our email.
Yeah, actually, from our website itself, you can get it.
You can go there
in contact. It's there.
You can go to contact. Our email ID is there. You can send us.
You can send us your comments. The other thing is simple. You can. So you can maybe just do a screen grab. It's got all our website, email, Twitter, all the handles as well.
Thank you, sir and ma'am, for sharing all the ways we can contact you.
Thank you.
Is there any more question from any of the participants? Sir, I would like to ask one small question. I think you have definitely already elaborated too much about the different types of interconnectedness between the interpretations of different concepts and how they can be interrelated with each other if you try to look at it in a certain way. So, sir, for every civilization, every place in the world, there must be any metaphysical aspiration, that connection with a superior power, that apart from other reasons as well, like the pyramid being a very good stable form physically, and other rituals, or something which is very local to them, there should be a very basic intention to connect with a higher power. That also would that be a factor in looking at the pyramid being such a primal form in every culture?
Yeah, actually, I would like to just say it is not a superior power. It's not a higher power. It is existence. So the thing that has driven us is to understand our own existence. So that higher, it's not a power, but what is the existence itself? And we have always been driven to understand ourselves, and through that, step by step, we have tried to understand what is the world, where am I? Okay, what is this? My family, my home, my society, and myself, my country, myself, the world around myself, the cosmos, and myself. So we have always tried to see where we are and where we fit in, And we have always looked at ourselves in that larger picture, and that is the thing which has been our driving force to understand everything around, our place in it, and how we are therefore connected through this whole thing.
She explained very well. So don't look at something the higher outside, the higher is within. It is inside you, self within, and how you connect with things around you. That is the higher is the connecting with the things around you. The higher is within you. That's why the idea of Swami is self within.
Sir, actually, I wanted to put this fact in the question as well, but that brings us to something that was established by Abraham Maslow as the human pyramid of human needs. That is basically some basic requirements that we do at base level, and then we reach at a point where we try to look at what is our existence mean to the society.
Self-actualization, he calls it the five-step theory. Abraham Maslow, who came to New York in 1950, he comes from the Jewish parentage of Russia, who got this idea from our Taittiriya Upanishad, which is called as Panchakosha. So Abraham Maslow's five-step actuation theory, it comes out of our Taittiriya Upanishad. Totally. Abraham, so we talk about Abraham Maslow, we have it in our Taittiriya Upanishad. The beauty of it is there. So his parents are Jews who emigrated from Russia. So this is there in our Taittiriya Upanishad.
So it is only when we know about this we would know where to all this information.
All this value is there purely in our Taittiriya Upanishad. So we speak about 5 levels of need: individual, community, country, self, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, leading up to Anandamaya Kosha, which is bliss realization we speak about in Taittiriya Upanishad, 5 level. And what did your friend Mr. Abraham Maslow say, who was Russian, came to New York, Jewish parents who came to Brooklyn, and he gave this whole idea of look at this physiologically, safety, affection, esteem, self-actualization. Same 5 level. Where did it come from? He didn't do Abraham's, he didn't do laboratory studies, animal studies, collected the data and he called it me. That's all.
He acknowledges. He says, I have taken it from the Upanishad.
Upanishad, that's all. Same idea. So, we have written about this in our book, Indo-Russia. You go to our book, Indo-Russia, you'll get this full data there. That's all. So, if you say it from Taittiriya Upanishad, we don't see it. If you say it from Abraham Maslow, we see it. That's a beauty, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Definitely, I think our knowledge system should respond more to the sources of this information and the origin of all these ideas.
Yes, absolutely.
Sir, there is one more question. Thank you, sir. So there is one more question.
Yeah, sir, I'm architect Shini from Chandigarh. First of all, I would really like to thank you for such a beautiful and, such knowledgeable, well articulated presentation. I just want one information that which translation of Upanishads or Vedas would you recommend for us to, read and, which is really, worthwhile reading, because so many different translations are available. And,
yeah, I would, I would first recommend that you don't read any translation. Don't read any translation. Go to somebody who teaches you this, who initiates you. There are now many online lectures on Upanishad and Veda. There are many people teaching. Because if you really look at it, these Upanishads themselves, they all, Upanishads and even other works based on these Upanishads, they all say, first they talk about who are the kind of people who can understand this. What is the, so just like today, you have something called a prerequisite. So they say that these are the prerequisites for somebody who is trying to understand this work. So today we are trying to take a shortcut fatafat, and then we expect, then we will never get that
Saransh.
full import,
I
because
agree.
this is not just a reading of some just literature. It is also to be able to leverage that metaphysical connect. So you have to prepare your mind, you have to widen your understanding of concepts. So it is always better that these kind of subjects we listen and absorb it from somebody rather than just read a translation, because there is also a danger about the limitation of a language. So what is said in Sanskrit, when translated into English, especially English, has a lot of limitation. First, thought and expression to writing itself limits knowledge, and then you translate, especially from Sanskrit to English, there again there is a lot that's lost in translation. So it'll be much faster for you to actually take certain classes with
Can
people.
you suggest some?
See,
Because it all comes to the same, then it has to be authentic source where you learn it from either, so
no, see, you put us in a delicate position. I'll tell you why architects training, because we ourselves conduct these courses. But
okay.
as a policy, we don't promote it ourselves unless people want to join. We'll show you where it is available on Indian Knowledge. You're welcome. Because normally we, as a policy, we don't suggest our own courses, because it will be like self-bro beating.
Yeah, that
Which we
I
should
agree
do.
with you
You can go to
totally.
the website
I'm
and
a,
you can be
I'll
in touch
do
with
that
us on email.
definitely. Yes,
Yeah,
I
you
would
can
love
email
to
us.
participate. Actually, I am a Vastu practitioner for last 20 years, and
Glad to hear that. You can do one thing. You can just go to our website, BharathGyan.com.
I'll do that. So I've already noted it down, and
I'll just show you where it is. Just go to our website. If you go to website, BharathGyan.com, we speak about the courses here. See,
okay,
if you come
yes,
here,
yes. Yeah.
you get to see the courses that is conducted here. If you come to the courses, you can see our courses here. Okay. In this, you'll get
Yeah.
data of all the courses. So you can connect with us. We'll be glad to guide you.
Okay, that would be great. I'll definitely come back.
Yeah. Because we normally, because when we're doing one webinar, we should not self-promote ourselves. That's why we didn't do. We were hesitant to do it.
Yeah, no. I
Because
totally agree. Being a Vastu practitioner, I know, what books tell is like half knowledge, unless you have really read through a lot of things or experimented or experienced. It is totally a different way of looking at it. So
Yeah, which is why we
definitely,
always have, for Indian system, it is always a guru sishya parampara. It's not just read on your own, but have somebody explain to you. Then you start leveraging all the various works.
I
So
agree.
always get it through somebody who explains and initiates you into thinking in a particular way. So imbibing is one first step, and then from there on you branch and then start exploring further.
that's how you differentiate between Sat and Asat. So
Right.
that's the
I
idea.
totally agree, sir. I totally agree. Yes.
You're
That is
welcome to
how
visit our
everything.
website. You're welcome to email us. We can connect offline on this.
Okay, great.
Certainly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank,
You're welcome, Architect Srini.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
all.
Sir, thank you for
Namaste.
patiently answering all the questions. It was very gracious of you to have given us this time and also patiently answer each and every question. I would now request Architect Swagatika to please go ahead with the closing of this session.
Thank you, Devasis sir. As we all know that it was one of the wonderful sessions we have witnessed in this series. And I mean, this is like, I thank that this is a very good start for this series, and we will witness some more such wonderful sessions ahead. And I thank Dr. Hemahari and Dr. D.K.Hari for accepting our offer. I mean, accepting our request to come in such a short notice period and blessed us with such a novel insight. And thank you. We'll be in touch and we would like to definitely take some few more sessions from you. And we would request for few more classes. And with this note, we are closing this session and we'll meet for the next session at 2:30. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaste.